What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, some of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO, legend, and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. It is another lovely day here this Wednesday, May 22nd. We're having a great day and going to make it even greater with this podcast. We got some new information and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So buckle in. Strap yourself in, get ready for a paranormal ride, because we're going down the ride of Matthew Perry visiting Courteney Cox in the afterlife. Now, as many of you know, Matthew Perry passed away last October, and which was really sad. I really, really love Matthew Perry. Now, for those of you who are saying, who the hell is Matthew Perry? He's one of the most famous actors of all time, or recent time. He was on a show called Friends, made about $1 billion. And he passed away. He struggled from addiction and he struggled from, a lot of depression and things like that. But so many people who came in contact with Matthew just said he was just a lovable dude and just an outright, legitimate guy. Just funny, huge heart, and just a nice guy. So Courteney came out just recently and stated, and this is like all over, this is like huge trending news, that she's actually had Matthew around her recently. His ghost has been visiting her. So this is wild, man. Some people might chalk this up to just straight up insanity. Some people might say, oh, I don't believe in ghosts. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that we got her coming out saying it in front of all of this media, and this isn't the only thing that Courteney's come out and talked about in living in haunted houses, so we're going to get into this. So Courteney and Matthew were on the show Friends. Friends ran for 10 years. One of the most famous shows and one of the most famous recurring shows that's been in syndication. One of my all-time favorite shows, and I love Matthew Perry. So what did she exactly say? What exactly has happened? So she came out on CBS Sunday Morning, which is a show that runs on Sunday morning. And she says, I'm so thankful that I got to work so closely for so many years. He visits me a lot, if we believe in that. Well, basically she's saying, I believe in it. And it's interesting because she did not believe in ghosts for a long time, despite being on all of those movies like Scream 1 through 6. She's been in all these horror films. She's been in all these ghostly shows as well. She was in a show called Shining Veil. Shining Veil? Hang on, sorry, let me get that right. It is Shining Veil? Yep, I'm right, Shining Veil. Which is a satirical comedy, horror though. I mean, it was really I thought it was more of a horror, where she was like part of a dysfunctional family, and they moved into this home, and she started writing raunchy female empowerment novels, and caught her cheating husband, is caught cheating on her husband, and then when they moved to this other house, basically everything she writes starts to come to life, and she's in a haunted house. In real life as well, she actually lived in a haunted house, and she didn't believe it. So in L.A., right, that's where everybody lives when you're a big star. In L.A., she lived in Carole King's old home. Now, Carole King is a humongously successful female singer-songwriter, 60s, 70s, and wrote songs like You've Got a Friend, or You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, Baby, right? She's huge, and a lot of people, of the earlier, or these, newer generations have never heard of her before, but she moved out, and it was in this area called Laurel Canyon. That's where Courteney comes in, and she moved in. Now, Carol told her, she said, this house is haunted, man. But Courteney is a very strong-headed woman. I really like her, and she's funny, but she doesn't believe in anything unless she sees it. Well, throughout the years of her living there, friends would come to stay with her, and those friends would tell her that they would see a woman at the end of the bed And this woman would start having conversations with them. And her friends would wake up in the morning and they'd come down for breakfast and they'd say, Courteney, do you have any visitors that live here? Any, ghostly spirits? She's like, no, what the hell are you talking about? And they're like, and all of them would say the same thing. It'd be a woman dressed in a gown, and they'd be sitting at the end of their bed. So, what about Matthew? Let's get back to Matthew real quick here. So, Matthew, again, right, awesome dude, passed away, but continues to visit her until this very day. I think Courteney allowed this to come out, but she wasn't giving us a lot of info because I don't think that she fully believes in the spiritual realm either. She was on Howard Stern's show in 2022 where she talked about a visit to London where she stayed in a hotel. And in this hotel, she stated that a really wild experience happened, and I'll let you listen in on it. All right, check this out. They explore it pretty well. It's awesome. Listen in.
So, you're on record as saying you lived in a house in, I don't know, Laurel Canyon somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a home you bought years ago. You bought it from Carole King.
Mm-hmm. Well,
lived there.
Yeah, Carole King lived there. Gypsy Rose Lee.
And you've been in interviews and you've said, I lived in a house that was haunted. Do you really believe in ghosts and that your house was haunted? I want to know the truth.
Okay, I really didn't believe in ghosts, but that scared me when that many people had seen spirits and stuff in the house, and then just out of the blue, not people, that no one was, the guy wasn't staying in the house. He just rang the doorbell and saw one standing behind me. So that was, but I did
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Some guy rang your doorbell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said to the guy, hey, have you heard that this house is haunted?
No, I didn't. The doorbell rang. I went to it. It was a UPS guy or Federal Express, whatever it was. And I answered it, got my package, and he said, do you know this house is haunted? And I go, really? Why? He goes, because there's someone standing behind you. And I thought, oh, shit.
Do I have it right that you then called Carole King, the former owner of the house, and had her come over and held a seance with her to get rid of the ghosts first?
You know what? She came over before that. And I didn't really believe, but she's such a cool lady. And I was so in awe of her that we did have a seance. I guess that was what you called it. We held hands, we sat around, and I just wasn't really connected to it. I just kept looking at her like, this is Carole King.
And this was the house where Carole King shot the famous cover to Tapestry, right?
Yeah. She told me there was a really, really bad divorce in the house, and that's when I believed. But I did have a scare in London recently. Like, I believed in it now. I now do believe.
What do you mean a scare?
I just got in there. So, yeah, I was a little jet lagged, but I wasn't sleeping. And I was sitting there. I closed my eyes to try to sleep, and all of a sudden I saw these really scary faces, like old faces. And I was like, okay, stop. You got to stop. And all of a sudden I was like, Mom, Dad, Annie M, I don't know. I just kept seeing all these weird things. And I saw lights, and the plant was moving next to me. And I was like, Johnny, wake up. I'm seeing spirits. And he had all these waves around him too. And he goes, Courteney, you're asleep. I said, no, I just woke you up. How can I be asleep? And he said, well, I'm asleep. There are no ghosts. And I did see them for sure. And the next night I came into the room and I said, look, and I'm going to sound crazy, but I said, thanks for visiting last night. That was fun. Do not come back tonight because I have to sleep.
So there you have it. It's interesting because that's actually happened to me before as well, where I'd be laying there, and I don't know if I've moved a lot. I've moved like basically every couple of years for most of my adult life, and I lived in a place, and I was closing my eyes, and I just see all these like really just evil, horrible things, right? Like just like faces that were like changing in other faces, and I'm like, what the hell, is my brain just overreacting to nothing? Because I don't even watch horror movies really. Too scared, man. I get nightmares. So she was like, what she said was exactly what I experienced. Having these weird visions in your closed eyes. And it could be your brain playing tricks on you, but when I moved, I never had that happen anymore. So I think when she visited that hotel, I think there's these entities that are trying to like communicate with you, especially in England where there's like, millions upon millions of dead people there, and they're just trying to engage with somebody. Maybe they were Friends fans. Who knows, right? But Carole King was such a believer that she helped her have a seance to try to clear out this house. That's how wild it is. And then it didn't even work because, like she said, she had a delivery person come. And when he delivered something, he said, "Hey, this house is haunted. You have somebody behind you." And he could see it. And obviously, somebody could be playing a prank on her, but I think that Courteney is smart enough to tell when people are telling the truth. And she obviously knew this from Carole King, who already knew it anyway. So it was just more truth, more veracity for her to move out. Now, she's not the only friend that's been haunted either. Actually, Jennifer Aniston was living or she was like basically a roommate for a time being. And I want to pull it up here because it's actually kind of funny. So let's pull up Jennifer Aniston's story, and I think you'll like it too. So Jennifer Aniston's haunted house experience was not necessarily the same as Courteney Cox. She told James Corden on a 2018 appearance on The Late Late Show with James Corden. Apparently, the issues stemmed from her roommate. So she claimed that someone came in to clear the house. Apparently, this ghost did not like the roommate or was following the roommate or something like that. But the attempt to clear the house during a seance and a cleaning was not successful, not at all. After the ghost revealed to Jennifer, apparently, or maybe to the person that was clearing the house, she said the ghost revealed that he hated her roommate. Maybe it was an ex-boyfriend, who knows? Aniston said she up and moved out to avoid any awkward conversations. Awkward conversations. Dude, you're already having like a seance and a cleaning on a house for a ghost. I don't know how much weirder your conversation can really be with your roommate. But anyway, she up and moved out. So I wonder if that happened early in her career, right? Because she got married to Brad Pitt early on in her career. She was probably single and living with a roommate. So that must have happened like pretty early on. It almost makes you wonder if the entire area of LA is just super, super massively haunted with all of these crazy, wild, huge celebrities. These celebrities are just, big in spirit, big in nature, and maybe they got some unfinished business. A lot of them die early from drug addictions, and so, you just look at Matthew Perry. And the sad thing, with Matthew is just, he was such a good guy when he was sober, but when he had, all these drug issues, as you can see later on in his career and in these interviews, he just got really kind of like his speech got slurry, and he just, didn't look clear, didn't look clean. He was kind of like all over the place, kind of shaking, kind of moving, trying to get the itch off of like, the addiction. Is really sucky because I really loved him, but I think he was such an open actor, such open personality and wide spirit, just giving of himself unabashedly and with total irreverence to his own self. He was just like, I want to make people laugh. And he did it very well. So let's go on to a paranormal TikToker named Josh Hope, who talks to dead celebrities, contacts them. He's a psychic. Has stated he also has encountered Matthew Perry in the afterlife and has been seeking answers about his demise. A lot of people state that he died from a drug overdose, that he had ketamine in his system, that he had benzos in his system, alcohol was in his system, and he ultimately died from drowning in the hot tub. So he wanted to find out a little bit more. Hope shared in a chilling video, this is from yahoo.com, in which he's seen making contact with entities he calls guides and then proceeds to connect him with Matthew Perry. The medium started asking Perry how he was doing and if he was able to communicate, and the actor replied, "Yes, sir." Now, Hope asked him, "Now that you're on the other side, how do you feel?" And Perry stated, "Missing slowly, I am homesick." That's what he said. Now, he said, Hope reassured Perry that you're loved, you're missed. Many people are devastated by your loss at 54 years old. But then the medium asked him a pretty hard-hitting question. He asked him, "Can I ask you what happened to you? Did you have a heart attack?" And Perry replied, hitting the balls killed me." So I'm assuming he means some sort of drug. Um, so with that question, um, it's interesting. I thought it would be drugs, but he's saying that it was pickleball. He's saying that playing pickleball killed him. It's interesting how pickleball has become such a huge sport amongst middle-aged and over middle-aged folks. Basically, pickleball is putting a net on a tennis court, but only on one side of the tennis court, so you're cutting the tennis court in half, and then you're hitting the balls with these like wooden paddles, and the ball is like kind of like this like plasticky wiffle ball type thing. I played it a lot in middle school, and I think it's fun, but Perry stated that he was found dead in his backyard after engaging in a 2-hour game of pickleball. I didn't even know that. I didn't even hear about that at all. There were no illegal drugs found at his home, but there were prescription pills, including antidepressants. Well, shit, man, everybody's on antidepressants. At the moment, his official cause of death is still being investigated, but in the video, the medium questioned Perry's spirit about his final Instagram post, which was an eerie image of the actor in a jacuzzi against the backdrop of a dark blue night sky. He also asked the late star if he felt any pain before he died. To this, Perry responded he was scared. Other parts of the interview included discussions about a shared history with alcoholism and a substance abuse. His spirit stated that he'll miss his fans. I think Perry always did it for the fans. I mean, of course, you have your own reasons, too. It's not just purely altruistic. You're trying to have fun. You're trying to make yourself feel better as an actor or as a person. You know, many people get into comedy do it because they had the hardest lives. You know, one person told me that flowers don't grow unless they got a lot of shit on them. So if you got a lot of shit on you, a lot of comedians come from really tough backgrounds. In this interview, Perry's alleged ghost asked if he had anything to say to the fans. He said he'll miss them, he'll never forget them. Of course, a ton of people obviously dropped a whole bunch of flowers near his home. I think that, you know, when we talk about the end here and just wrapping up this podcast, everybody, I don't think there's one person that says I don't like Matthew Perry. I think maybe there's some folks that might not like Courteney Cox, but I like Courteney ever since she was in the Bruce Springsteen video, Dancing in the Dark, right? I think that Courteney had a real experience. I think that she had lived in a home that was haunted. Carole King said it was haunted. A lot of people also, the UPS driver said it was haunted. Does Courteney continually engage with Matthew Perry's spirit? Well, it's only up for her to decide, but apparently there's other entities in Hollywood and in LA that are engaging with Matthew Perry's spirit. I mean, he's such a huge character, such a huge guy, you know, huge in spirit. I mean, if you watch those Friends episodes and the bloopers, he was out there trying to make Matt LeBlanc laugh. He would run up and just, you know, push his chair out from underneath him and just, you know, just make people laugh, just say off-the-cuff stuff. He didn't care, you know, that they were going to have to do another take or another 5 takes. He was laughing his ass off and having a great time, and I think that is the way to live your life. Have fun. Don't hurt anybody. But do what you like, have fun, and enjoy being a funny guy. And then in the afterlife, if you got a second, drop by your friends and say hi. Because you know what? We need confirmation. We need to know that we need to not take this life so goddamn seriously. We need to stop taking every little small thing and making it the largest thing on the planet. Because we don't even come from this planet. We're not from here. We're not going to be here for very long. So enjoy your freaking life, man. Go out and have fun. Have a great time. And you know what? Towards the end of life, find a code sentence that you're going to tell your friend or your family after you pass on. Because there's been many stories of people having a code sentence at the end of life. Like, oh, look at the purple pretty flowers from the planet Venus or something like that. There's been people who have felt compelled to go up to random strangers and tell them these random sentences, and people are just breaking down, sobbing, and crying because there's no way that anybody else could know that sentence after the person's death. And there's no reason for a random stranger to come up and say it to you. And I've read stories like that as well. So keep that in your heart, keep that in your mind, because you know what? You should enjoy the day. And that's what a lot of people are doing. It's just enjoying the day. We don't know what we're all doing here, man. We're all just as confused as everybody else. We're just here trying to have fun, learn, and live in the light. And I hope that's what you're doing. So take care of yourself spiritually, physically, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Please just enjoy life. And we'll be back again. Go like, follow, share, subscribe, please. And we'll be back for more. Take care. Locked On Universe out. Peace.